What's up, nerds and nerdettes, and we little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big John and G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. So sorry we are a little bit late. This has been an absolutely crazy Monday morning for me. A lot of stuff going on, personal stuff, real life crap. You got to deal with. That's all. But it did push me back here a little bit, and there may be an interruption. So I'm home alone. My wife used to work from home and then limited from home, and now sometimes only works home from Fridays. So today's Monday. It's just me and the dogs. And I'm expecting some packages. So I may have to get up and run and get the door at some point. Just wanted to point that out. But yeah, we've had a lot of comments. This has been a really good month. We've seen some growth. And I want to say thank you to all the new viewers, subscribers, members of the party that we have here for 2GP. So we went into the month with balancing between 1,500 and 1,498. It was at the beginning of the month. It was bouncing back and forth there. I hit 1,500, lost it, hit it, lost it. But for the last couple of weeks, 2 weeks, it's really been good. And I think the current count right now is 1,510 or 11. I just hit 11 actually. So hey, that's great. People are discovering this for fun channel. That's all I want to do. I just want to have fun. Me and my friends, you, and anyone that cares to have fun with the tabletop adventure. But we've been having a lot of comments too. I want to get to them. Since I usually don't have a lot of time during the week or the day, I really do look forward to the end of the month where I get here one-on-one with everyone. There was, let me see. We had one here. Yes. Okay, so this is a new viewer from the Irishman from England, 25. Thank you so much for sticking around with Two Gun Pixie. And for our Two Gun Pixie D&D Quote the Bard, the Grimspell Grotesqueries. That's not easy to say. A ghastly Greyhawk alphabet. And our new friend, Irishman from England 25, said, "You did not just make a court jester reference in 2023. You've earned a subscriber, my good man. How could I not make a reference?" No, really, I am such a huge fan of that movie. Danny Kaye, I think, was one of the most brilliant comedic movie actors America has ever really had. The funny thing is, a little personal note, my wife's grandfather, directly off the boat from Lithuania, looked exactly like Danny Kaye. Well, at least when he was younger. When he was a young man, I saw pictures of him, and man, he looks just like Danny Kaye. But that was a great movie. I really think that anyone that likes to have a good laugh, and especially anyone that's a fan of fantasy and Dungeons and Dragons, right? You should watch that movie, The Court Jester. You gotta be careful with my accent. Sometimes my wife said sometimes it sounds like I'm saying court gesture, like, hey, I'm gesturing, which is funny because jesters do gesture. There's a rhyme for you. But yeah, so that is a fantastically fun movie. I have used Giacomo in different forms over the years in D&D. This is the first time he's been exclusively an NPC for my campaign. And because of that, I decided, you know what, let me do some little lines for him. Because I firmly believe if you really know your subject, you have a thesaurus, a rhyming dictionary, or the app versions of, it's not that hard to pull a couple of lines together. It may take you a little time, but it's not all that hard. So I've been having a lot of fun with the Giacomos. There's going to be a lot more. Now, one of my players, Kyle, if you've been watching the Dungeons and Dragons Tales of the Table episodes that we've been doing, Kyle, he's a teacher, and I hope I'm allowed to say this. He's a teacher, and at his school, he runs an after-school D&D program. And he told me that he's been really digging well, besides everything that we do, he's been really digging the Giacomo bits because he has a couple of players in his group, and they got a huge group at this school. They play bards, and when they use things like bardic inspiration, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to RPG it, you know? So he told me, he said, usually the guy playing the bard will just put his hand on the guy's shoulder and go, "You got it, bud." And I'm like, yeah, that's funny, that's cute and everything. But I thought to myself, maybe I can give him a little bit of help. And actually today is, because every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the Giacomo new episodes go up. Because they're so short. They're so easy and fast to do. I decided to start doing some bardic inspirations. So it's a really short episode today for Giacomo. But I think that if you play Dungeons and Dragons, or someone in your group does, and they run a bard, this is a really good series for them. And all my regulars know I don't often go around patting myself on the shoulder. I don't often go tooting 2GP's own horn. But I got to say that if you are a D&D player and you play bards, or someone in your group does, direct them to the 2GP quote of the bard episodes that we have here, because they really are going to be good and inspirational for them. So I'm going to be continuing the bardic inspirations for a while now. I think I'm going to move it to Wednesdays. I'm still wondering about that. The Wednesday Giacomo, I think that's when that's going to start premiering after today. But yeah, so I've been having fun. So yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Giacomo, Giacomo, my name before me rings, the king of jesters and jester of kings. I decided to use bards. This is D&D. Absolutely love that movie. Irishman from England, thank you so much for finding this channel and deciding that it may just be worth your while to subscribe. I'll make sure I got the live comments on. I see we have a few viewers. I don't see anything in the chat yet. If anything comes up, I'll answer it. That's what the AMA part of this episode is, right? Let's see. Okay, Fallen Dominion Studios. Actually, I'm waiting for something from them. They are one of the few companies that still reach out and work with me, and it doesn't matter. It's a for fun channel, so whatever. But they're one of the studios that still that work with me, and they've been having a hard time. Everything is good in the end, but they were having a hard time there with their Kickstarter for the second edition of Fallen Land, a post-apocalyptic board game, which the first edition has historically always been one of my favorite board games. It is put together so well. I love sandbox board games. Although there are a few good post-apocalyptic board games, there's not a lot. It's not flooded like the sci-fi genre in general is, or zombies or fantasy, you know. So it really stands out. And I'm waiting with bated anticipation for my review copy of the Kickstarter and all the whistles and bonuses and everything. I can't wait to get to the table and go through the whole thing. You know, we're going to do the unboxing for it. We're going to do, I'll try to do a how-to play. You know, I haven't been doing too many of them lately. I think a lot of other people do them better, but I'll take a look. I'm not making any promises. I could very well jump into a how-to play for that. But there'll be some playthroughs and show-offs and slideshows for it. It's a really, really fun game with just enough humor. Not too much, but just enough to keep you laughing while you're going through this post-apocalyptic world. So yeah, they do check out my videos. And Fallen Dominion Studios was watching Tales from the Table. I was just mentioning that. Tales from the Table, our D&D playthrough. Well, we don't really play through it. I don't want to deal with playthroughing an edition of Dungeons and Dragons, which is heavily home ruled through literally decades of just playing and getting used to it. And I can't explain every nuance of the home rules to everyone that's watching. So I don't film the playthroughs, but we do film the gang talking about them, and you get to see the behind the scenes of me building out the table layout and talking about the adventure, which actually, before I get to the comment, I know I'm running this into the ground, right? But I'm actually starting next year. Actually, it won't be starting until May, because we have episodes filmed up to April. We took a little break. Next month, part 13 is sort of like the recap, the epilogue, and then after that we have 4 episodes where we took a little break, made some new characters, some evil characters, and I ran them through a very fast, quick little hack and slay, homebrewed adventure of my own. called the Death Lords of Vecna. And that's going to start, that's going to run 4 episodes. And after that, we're back to our regular D&D episodes. And from Forge of Fury, we're getting into Speaker in Dreams. And that's when I'm going to start dividing this up, because I really think the Tales of the Table episodes are getting way too long, because it does feel like 2 episodes crammed in one. It feels like a behind-the-scenes episode and a Tales from the Table episode. So I'm going to be dividing that next year. And I'm going to make sure that the behind-the-scenes airs the week before. This will be on Thursdays. It'll be the 3rd Thursday of every month. It'll air just before the week where the Tales from the Table will drop. So anyway, for part 12, very simple. I've drawn this out so long. This is like a vaudevillian act. I've drawn this out so long. Fallen Dominion Studio said, great video, buddy. John Longren and Sean, I believe Sean Cahill is also. They're both fans of, Dungeons and Dragons. So thank you very much that they're checking out my D&D videos and leaving some comments and hopefully sharing. If you like these D&D videos, share them. Share them with your group. Share them with your Facebook buddies, wherever. Because like I said, this is a for fun channel, so I'm not going out of my way to advertise. We don't bother with sponsors or patrons or anything. So really, honestly, the only way this gets out is when someone spreads the word for it. We have another. Oh no, sorry, that was the same one. Almost read the same one twice. We have a comment here for Slideshow Gaming, Galactic Strike Force. And our buddy the Shogunstein 6475. I never say his numbers. I'm sorry about that. Shogunstein 6475 says, looks a lot like Star Realms. I've heard of Star Realms. I've seen it. I know people have talked about it. I've never watched it played. I barely even know what it looks like. But I know the game. So now that you say that, I'm a little curious to check it out. Now, Galactic Strike Force is from the same company, Great Event Games. It's the same company that does Sentinels of the Multiverse. And the game is a sci-fi version structured very much like, if you know Sentinels of the Multiverse, you have like a 2/3 grasp already of Galactic Strike Force, where you're going to set up a villain, in this case, a galactic enemy, and you're going to set up a location that they are attacking. And that's how your forces are going to work. And you pick, instead of superheroes, like Sentinels, you're picking spaceships and their captains, their crews kind of thing, to go deal with these evil, imperial, cosmic bastards. I've not won a game of that. I haven't played it in about 4 or 5 years. But that is so much harder than Sentinels of the Multiverse ever was. It's like it feels to me that the default mode of that is the hard mode of Sentinels. Trey Techie, haven't seen you here in a while. Trey Techie is in the comments section. Would you consider doing a video playthrough of Legend of Drizzt? Drizzt. I do like that. That is tough. Not as tough as Ravenloft. Wow, I did a couple of playthroughs of Ravenloft and a couple off to the side, and wow, that's part of the adventure system, right? Not the adventure system. We know what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay, I could set that up. I'm always looking for for ideas to play something again, and that's good because I can play it solo, or I can play it with the guys that are here. So I can't say when. So many things are going on for December that might not happen until January. But Trey Techie, yeah, sure. Thank you for throwing that in the comments. Any excuse to play one of the cooperative adventure systems. That's what they're called. The cooperative adventure systems of the Dungeons and Dragons game. Questions, since you popped up and you asked me that question, Trey, I was wondering, have you played the earlier board game, coincided with 3rd edition? Came out by Parker Brothers. It was originally released in England, and maybe more than England, maybe just like Western Europe area, but definitely in England. And it was right in front of me there. It's called the Dungeons and Dragons Fantasy Adventure board game. Now, unlike the cooperative adventure games, you do need a DM to run the Fantasy Adventure board game. But other than that, I think it's a superior board game version of Dungeons and Dragons than the adventure system. But like I said, that I can't run that solo. It's just, most of the games I run here, I do have to run solo. That's probably not going to get to the table anytime soon. But yeah, I'm right there. Castle Ravenloft, Wrath of Ashardalon, ding, 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 Legend of Drizzt. All right, I put that on the list. You got it. What's in the Pixies box? Battle systems. That's another thing. You've already seen some battle systems drop. You may have seen some WizKid stuff drop already. If not, there's going to be a ton of WizKid stuff dropping. I spent the last half of this year building up a huge WizKids Warlock 4D collection to go with the battle systems I've been building up prior. So there's still some battle system videos that are going to be dropping, like this one right here. And this is a name, I think we've seen this before. Losif Stalin. Losif, capital S, Stalin. Losif Stalin 2. It'd take me a second to get that. Simply said, first. All right, so yeah, I guess this is one of the first systems that comes to mind. If I'm thinking of tabletop gaming terrain, this and WizKids now, I mean, totally puts Dwarven Forge out of my mind. Although they have some good stuff. I'm not pissing on Dwarven Forge. I cut my teeth with that stuff. But no, I like the newer stuff a little bit more myself. So first, I don't know what you meant by it, but in my mind, I agree. Now, there's another comment here flashed up while I was talking. I do want to make sure I get to them. Okay. Trey answered my question. He says, have not. I'll check it out. The game is out of print. Okay. I don't want you to spend more money than you have. I don't want anyone to spend more money than they have to. Your wallet is yours. It's not mine. But just warn you, it is out of print. It's been out of print for a while. There was 2 expansions for it before it went out of print. One for the Wilds, which introduced a druid class to play, and one in the Frozen North, go figure, had a barbarian introduced as a player character to play as well. But that's it. The core and those 2 expansions, and then it died. I think that if it had been sold here in America, because as far as I know, it was not sold in America. Well, I mean, everything is sold in America because, yeah, Amazon online, you can just order things. But remember, this came out in like 2000. So ordering like we do now with Amazon and eBay and Etsy and all that didn't really exist then. So, yeah, it was really tough to get a game in comparison to how easy it is today. It was really tough back then to get a game that wasn't sold in your global regional area. And I feel that if they had the game available here in America for the American Dungeons and Dragons players, because this coincided when 3rd edition got released. If they had that as a support system with D&D as its support system, both of them supporting themselves in sales, I think it would have done a lot better and it would have lasted a lot longer. I really wish that somebody, and Shogunstein, if you're watching this, I know you hate this so much, but somebody like Restoration Games or somebody would get the license to do it. Or Wizards just redoes it themselves. Hasbro, just redo it yourselves. It is great. And it looks to me, I don't know, don't quote me on this, but it kind of looks to me, I've been getting the feeling that ever since Ghost of Saltmarsh board game came out, they've killed the adventure system game. I feel like they've killed it. I've been looking and looking. I see nothing on the horizon. No media notes, no liner notes, no review notes, anywhere that I've seen that there's another one coming out, which pisses me off because it is a great system. The adventure system, it's a great system. And they never yet, I could be wrong, maybe it's not dead, but they never had a monk and they never had a warlock. I was really waiting for one of their systems to come out and have one or both of those classes in it. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's not dead. So hard to keep a good D&D board game alive. All right, speaking of Shogunstein, making a comment here for Tabletop Takeout, Tiny Epic Mechs. Shogunstein said, as much as I love the Tiny Epic series, this was one of my least favorite. Rules were too much. I personally think, and I've said this before, and it hasn't changed over the years, Tiny Epic Zombies is their worst game. And I do like the series. And even though the market is flooded with zombie games, if it's a good game, I don't care. People bitch about there's too many zombie games, there's too many Cthulhu games. Not as many as there are fantasy games. So it doesn't matter of personal likes and stuff, but I think zombies is the worst. And one of my main reasons hasn't changed. Me or any of the group, no one has ever felt threatened in that game. We've never felt like, whoa, we're about to die. Well, that was not smart to do. It never felt that way to us. But yeah, the rules for Tiny Epic Mechs were a little hodgepodgey. No, that's not really the right thing to say. They're a little convoluted. You know, sometimes I feel like, and I haven't checked out Crime yet. I got it. I haven't checked it out yet. But sometimes I feel like they could use a little more playtesting. Like these are 0.5 editions sometimes. And they're not the only company I feel that way about. A lot of companies that do Kickstarter I feel that way about. But yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Shogun Steen. And again, you came over here you were all three comments. All three comments, Shogun Steen, were from you for last Monday. For Midday Monologue Mondays, publishers, stop doing this. And your comments, you said, why do people need 3 versions of castles to make money just because it's filled? ... I don't know. People need to get the new versions because they think they're better. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But I think the real question is, were you having fun with the version of the game that you have already? Because if you're already having fun with it, the next question would be, is there anything new? Right? Is there anything new in this second edition that's going to make it worth it for me to ditch the first and get it for? Because sometimes second editions don't have a lot of new stuff except for rule updates. And if that's the case, screw it. Just download the rule update for the second edition and use it for the one that you have. That sometimes works. Other reasons, and you mentioned this, I see in another comment. Another reason is, and I'm one of these problems, is completionists. Not for everything, for some things. I do have my limit, and I have a little bit of logic behind my levels of being a completionist. But that's another thing. They're really banking on that. They're really banking on people that just want to also just chase down a title. Somebody that just loves a franchise so much that they'll do anything to make sure they have everything for it. I would love to have every single Dungeons & Dragons board game. I don't. I never will. I have a lot. That's good enough for me. I have enough. I have ones that touch on everything I need, except one player. You know, pardon me, we were just talking about Legend of Drizzt, Castle Ravenloft, Wrath of Ashadalon, these games down here in front of me. That they, wow, I lost track of thought. How did I do that? Oh, yes, they play single player. That's what I was saying. That is a lot of great, they do play single player. But they're huge games. They're huge setups. You know what I'd like to see a Dungeons & Dragons board game, dice game, card game that is easily one playable. That'd be cool. But in its sense, D&D itself isn't really one player. Yeah, there have been solo adventures over the years, even back in second edition days. I remember the attempt at solo D&D modules. But they fall flat because D&D is a group experience. It's a sense of camaraderie. I totally butchered that word, camaraderie. Sitting around the table with your friends or casting live with a bunch of people on the screen with you, all hanging out together in the same moment for the same quest. That's cool. That really is. So maybe D&D board games shouldn't be one player. Maybe I'm just feeling too entitled. Shogun Scene also says, these companies prey on completionists and collectors to keep buying these expensive blinged out editions of games. Unfortunately, too many people willingly give them their money. And that's true with everything. I mean, for years, people were like, why do they keep making shitty Transformer movies? Because people keep giving their money to the theaters, to the companies that are producing these movies. That's why. And it's the same thing with RPGs, board games, and things like that. If you are, let me see if I can do something with that shade. Hold on. Wow, that's really bothering me. Is it bothering you? Maybe this will help a little bit. Okay. I hate to get up there in the middle of the stream, right? It's very unprofessional. No, that didn't help all that much. Not much I can do there. I got light on all sides of me here. And finally it says, having games manufactured by questionable labor in China seems a bigger issue than plastic minis. No consistency in the board game community. There isn't. Now that could go a couple different ways, Shogun. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by consistency. Do you mean it like in a Ford Motors classic sort of way? Everything's conveyor belt, everything is all cogs fit together kind of system. That would be nice if that's what you mean, but we're dealing with different companies. So I doubt that that's going to happen anytime soon. There's no easy answer to things like this. That's the problem. They're going to piss off. The answer's going to piss off somebody or another. But it's a good video. Besides Shogun Scene, who obviously enjoyed pretty much the entirety of it. Go check it out. I mean, I don't do a lot of bitching videos because it just doesn't feel like that's what everyone wants. Trust me, I can complain. But yeah, I really did like that video. I stand by it. Publishers, stop doing this. Midday Monologue Monday. Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, see, look, we were just talking about this, and this is an older video, too. It's a comment about an older video. But yeah, the Dungeons and Dragons Fantasy Adventure board game, Tabletop Takeout Edition. And Kim Hansen 8615, laid the comment down. I just went to my dungeon and returned with this gem. Hidden for almost 20 years. Kids and I did a few games back then, and I forgot about it. Time to revisit it. I'll probably be solo games, though. Kids are growing up long ago. I think it's pretty hard to get nowadays here in EU unless you ready to pay premium for secondhand, especially the expansions. That was what I was saying before. Yeah, exactly, Kim. That it's going to be a big problem. It's going to be a big problem. Anyone trying to get their hands in this game, but you're talking about playing this solo. Was there rules online about doing that? Because I don't remember anything other than needing a DM for it. I'll have to look into that now because you've piqued my interest. And what's going on over here in the comments section? Trey Techie, generally on board games in general. On board games in general. Do you think that there is such a thing as a bad board game in design and gaming experience? Well, yeah, there are. And you know it too. You could probably name a few yourself. But the problem with a question like that is it's subjective. It's all completely subjective. What I am looking for in a board game may not be the same thing that you are looking for in a board game or the person, 3 blocks down from you is. It's, what this reminds me of? This question reminds me of the only true answer for beauty. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And that seems to be this way to me. Are there bad designs in games? The first thing is you have to feel challenged. I was just bitching a moment ago, about Tiny Epic Zombies. There's no sense of I'm going to lose. There's no sense as I'm going to be overrun by the zombies. Like if you remember the end of Night of the Living Dead. Well, especially the remake color stands out more to me. But like at the end of that, the star of it, I can't remember her name, the actress or the character she played, but she's like almost having a breakdown. She's laughing. And she's like, look how slow they are. We can just walk by them. They're not a threat. And her point was correct. They made the zombies a threat by holding themselves up in that little building, that little house. So they had nowhere to go except having the zombies swarm the house. So there's more and more zombies. But as far as getting outside and avoiding them, the zombies as depicted in that version of the Romeo film, are not really a threat unless you back yourself in a corner like they did. And that's the way you can ruin any game. If there's no sense of fear in it. Also railroading. There was a game I reviewed years ago. Somebody was bringing a kit. I still got it here too. This. It's only still on my shelf because there's room on my shelf for it. So, like, game like this game kind of played okay. Wasn't great, but it was completely railroaded. I mean, maybe you can even see the picture on the back here. There's paths that you have to take, and one of the biggest railroads of it was at the very end. Whatever path you're on converges to the same spot to get you across the dock to the helicopter that's waiting and escape. But having to get around through that, you need to help each other out in this game. There's parts of the game where you help each other. And by that point, it's like, well, only one person can win. And there's only one way to win at that very end. And nobody would let anybody win. So, shitty game. Why do I still have it? Only because I have room on the shelf. Absolutely no other reason why it's still here. So, those are, I think, two of the biggest reasons that can ruin a game. But sometimes a good game can be ruined not by the game itself. You have to have the right players. Like recently we had a lot of fun and success with King of Tokyo. And a few days ago, actually last weekend, I don't want to say who, I'm not bringing any names up, but one of the 20-sided warriors who really loved the game, I threw down King of New York. I was like, come on, let's try this then. That game did not go over well. The change in the rules was not well received. Okay, fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But you need the right person. Like, I've had several different attempts to try to get, for the first time, to the table, well, so to speak. It doesn't really sit on a table. Blood on the Clock Tower. And the two biggest problems with that is being a werewolf mafia kind of game, I need at least 7, 8 people, really, to have a good feel to the game, right? Not everyone who plays board games likes that style of game. So that's another thing that can ruin a good game session. If you have one or more players at your table that are not feeling the game, it's going to ruin it. Return to Dark Tower. I think it was the only live playthrough that we did as a group of it. I think that was the one. It got ruined by one of my players, who after a few turns or seasons, rounds in the game as the tower was going by, just decided he was done with it and deliberately threw the game on everyone so that we lost. Wow, that's really adult. So, good games can be ruined by bad players. Bad games ruin themselves. Also, companies can ruin a game. There's a game. Actually, this is still sitting on my shelf. I'm looking at it in the camera view right now, sitting behind me. I don't even want to mention it because I hate the company so much. And I'm never playing it on camera ever again. I'm never advertising it by word of mouth ever again. Not because of the game, because of the company. The company ruined the Kickstarter. To this day, and this is like over 10 years ago, I think, or 8 years now we're going on. Well, no, hold on. So I've been doing this channel for like 6 years now. So it's probably 6 years. Because it was one of the early things on my channel. And the game is great. It's fun. Take that style game with not too much hatred in it, and just enough laughter and fun. But they screwed everyone. The company screwed all the backers. And as far as I know to this day, they're still screwing everyone over. So that ruined the game. That ruined the game. That's my long-winded answer for you, Trey. Oh, let's see. Midday Monologue, what? A novel idea. Where I talk about just that. Novels that have been turned into board games, and some I think should be. So Shogunstein says, how about the reverse? Weren't the Dragonlance books actually based on the game? Yes. Now, well, from a consumer point of view, what I remember was the modules came out first. The first 3 modules, or there was, how it was released, what I'm getting to is how it was released is not so much the point in Dragonlance, because it was all planned and plotted together. From a business point of view, they knew they were going to be releasing the modules with a series of books to tie in with it. So it was really all born together. Now that I think about it, I think the books came out first from what I remember. I mean, we're living in an age you can just look it up and find out if I'm right or wrong. But living through it, I seem to remember reading the books first and then looking through the modules and not liking them. Yeah, I know. I shouldn't say that. Nobody's allowed to say they don't like Dragonlance. It's a crime in the D&D world. The first 3 novels were fantastic, and I highly suggest anybody that's into fantasy novels and/or Dungeons and Dragons, check out the original 3 Dragonlance novels. They're a great read. After that, pick and choose what you like. I think most of the books after that are kind of more on the losing end, but that's hit or miss right now. But the modules, the modules felt too railroaded. Speaking of what breaks a board game for me, the Dragonlance okay, you can argue with me, John. All modules are railroaded. The DM needs to get the characters from point A through to point B where everything's going to culminate. Sure, I get that. But a good DM in a well-written module will not feel railroaded. Never will. But for the Dragonlance novels, I didn't feel like there was any way to run that game without my players just knowing 100% our decisions don't matter because we have to do A, B, and C to get to D. There's no sandboxy way around this. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of the modules. Not at all. To get on a quick tangent, out of the secondary campaign systems, I was never a big fan of Forgotten Realms. It was okay. I ventured in it once or twice. It's not for me. It's hard for me to say why, but it just didn't feel right to me. That's all. Eberron was fun. I liked Eberron. Eberron, there's a mail thing. I told you it was going to be a mail delivery. Hold on. Hold it, guys. Stay right there. I'm back. Don't worry, I'm back. I'm here. Tell you, just got in mail. The Eberron just was fun. It felt like nice, light steampunk feel with D&D. Sure, I like that. It did. I like that. Ravenloft. Oh, I love the module was fantastic. The second one, was it called Griffin Hill, I think. The campaign setting. Oh, I love the campaign setting. I think they did a fabulous job with it. And I'll even go so far as to say I think White Wolf Publishing for the third edition Dungeons and Dragons set, they did a good job working on and creating the newer, updated version of it. In fact, even incorporating the last several modules of the second edition, incorporating the whole expansion and change of the Lands of the Mist. Excellent. Very, very cool. Dark Sun I had fun with. Not a hell of a lot, not enough to keep more than one campaign going in that world. It was nice. Spelljammers, I liked Spelljammers too. I thought that was such a brilliant way to kind of mix that little bit of sci-fi in with Dungeons and Dragons, as well as a way, besides magical portals of teleportation or something, a way to go between the worlds, to go between Faerun and Oerth and Eberron, and mix things up. I really liked that a lot. Ooh, how do we get off on that tangent? Oh, Dragonlance. Yes, I wasn't a big fan of the Dragonlance modules. So also said, I love the Jaws game down to the Mayor anchor jacket in the insert. Wow. You've mentioned that before. And you mentioned it before. I even made a big deal of it. And you're right. It is a fantastically fun throwback, homage to see the Mayor of Amityville's jacket lining in the Jaws box. A lot of fun there. Fall Guy 30 said Eric of Melbourne be great, or even an Eternal Champions protecting an assault on Tanalorn game. Yeah, it would. There was an Eric of Melbourne RPG using the D20 system that coincided with third edition. I remember getting that, and to throw around the same word I've just been using a lot lately, I wasn't impressed. I was unimpressed by it. Maybe that's because I'm not a huge fan of Dick's work. I don't want to say enough. Is it Philip K? No, Moorcock. I'm sorry, not Philip K. Dick. It's Moorcock. Dick. Moorcock. Gee, how could I get those even slightly mixed up? No, I'm not a huge fan of Michael Moorcock's writing. I barely got through the initial Elric book so long ago. I don't even remember what the hell the name of it was. But I thought his vision was convoluted, and I thought his writing was lazy. I'll say it. I thought Michael Moorcock's, especially with combat, from what I remember, it was a lot of just broad strokes, so to speak, with the combat. But then, I guess in a sense, you want to put it in a video game sense, for the boss fights, he got into some more detail with that. But I wasn't a big fan of Michael Moorcock's work. Similar in the vein is Carl Edward Wagner. I like to say Wagner, but Carl Edward Wagner. His writings, his fantasy stories. He even did one with his character Cain, the Immortal, where he met Elric and Conan, and basically it was Carl's way of just stroking himself, saying, "Oh, my character's so much better than your two characters." Yeah, how did I get up on that tangent with Carl Edward Wagner? But yeah, it's all the books, yeah. And Fall Guys saying Erica Melbourne. Yeah, but overall, yeah, I think it would be a good board game. There's so many different elements that you can pull from that. Even something as basic as a tower defense system, like you're saying at the end, right? Like the assault. We can do that. We can see that happening. That could be fun. What other novels could make good board games? I'll throw that out there to everyone. Tabletop Takeout, Maximum Apocalypse, Gothic Horrors by Rock Manor Games. D.Ardent 9382. That's a new name. Are you a new subscriber? Welcome aboard. Or at least thanks for enjoying the video. It's odd that I've hardly seen many Maximum Apocalypse reviews or hardly anything on it at all. I just had a video briefly talking about the Gothic horror talking about the Gothic horror from one of the few game channels I watch. So then I now had a ton of different videos recommended about the game series. So I guess I will catch up on what it's all about. I like this one. It has literally and folklore monsters and creatures. Oh, I thought you meant like the video. No, you meant you like this one, the Gothic horror, because it has those. It is a fun version of it, the Gothic horror. I think you still need the base set, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you still need the base set of Maximum Apocalypse to play it. But it does. It adds in the vampires, which in their deck have like werewolves in it. I kind of wish like lycanthropes were its own card and group category. But yeah, it's fun. It's a tile-based game. It's you play it solo. You can play it multiplayers. It'll give you a good hour worth of fun. Yeah, in an apocalyptic way. Midday Monologue Monday. Bernard Godfrey. Bernard! It has been a long time. I saw you left a comment. I think it was on, what was it? Oh, it was this one right here. It was this one right here, Bernard. Bernard Godfrey, 3499. Checking in, Johnny. I hope you are sincerely well and healthy. Very rough year over the pond. Long COVID, etc. Among other life-changing episodes. He said with a thumbs up himself. So, I hope that means that. That's good. But getting better. Happy to see that you are still as bonkers as ever. Hugs, my friend. Bonkers. That's cool. Well, they've been called bonkers a lot. Bombastic. That's a word that's been thrown around a few times over the years about me being quite bombastic. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm bombastically bonkers for board games. I do love alliteration. Thank you, Bernard. I hope that things are indeed getting better. It seems like you're giving thumbs up. And you say, but getting better, and I really do hope that's true. I hope you've been enjoying some of the new videos, too. It's been a while since you dropped by. Go check those out. And Bernard, hope you have a better tomorrow and a great today. And I said that backwards. It's more powerful if you say it the other way around. But I've been talking straight for 45 minutes, so I'm a little bonkers. Shogun see has a bunch of comments here for Midday Monologue Monday, October viewer comments. Are we that far down already? Yes, all right, almost 45 minutes in, sure. So, about this. Shogun Steam, I watch people who have not seen Jaws before watching it for the first time, and it still works. People watching it for the first time 50 years after it was made still jump when they see Ben Gardner's head. Or when the shark hits the boat and all the power goes out. That's a nice little jump scene. I've seen Jaws over 100 times and try to see it on the big screen at least once a year, and it still scares me. Well, you're commenting on my comments about it already. So what he's talking about is if you hadn't watched last month's viewer comment episode, I had a really bad time with Jaws when it came out. I was like 6 years old. My dad did not want to take me to see the movie. But I didn't know this when I was 6 years old, but when you're an adopted only child, yeah, you kind of get a lot of things that you want. But the reason I wanted to go see it was because of my sister, my god sister, Marianne. She's like 2 or 3 years older than me. And she saw it, and she started rubbing it into me. Johnny's a baby. Johnny can't see Jaws. He's just a little baby. Excuse me? Do you not know me, Marianne? So I begged, complained, kvetched, and against his better judgment, my old man took me to go see Jaws. And I said this in the other video, and anytime it comes up, because I just think it's funny. So I'm sitting there, and I can't remember how far into the movie, probably after the first shark attack. I started sitting, I know it's inappropriate nowadays, but I started sitting Indian style. Cross-legged, that's what we called it when I was a kid. So I started sitting like that in the movie theater chair, and by the time my dad realizes it, he looks down at me and goes, "Son, why are you sitting like that?" I'm like 6 years old. So I go, "Dad, I don't want Jaws to come up under the seat and get me." I had a hard time. I had a difficult time with that movie. But the scene where they're singing, "Oh, I had a drink about an hour ago, and it went straight to my head," and you hear the music, dun dun. Dun, dun. Had a little drink about an hour ago. Dun, 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 dun. Went straight to my head. Dun, 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 dun. Boom! And Jaws hits that boat. And all the power goes out. The lights go out. And that theater went dark. Pitch black. And 6-year-old Big Johnny G nearly shat his pants. Nearly is the key word there. But I jumped up from that seat and I ran out of the movie theater. Years later, talking about this with my dad, he says, "Don't you remember what you said, son?" No. So as soon as the lights went out, I said, "That's it!" And I jumped out of the seat. So across the street was a neighborhood bar that my godfather, Marianne's dad, my godfather worked at on the weekends. So I just hightailed it across the street. I'm an Irish kid. Growing up in an Irish neighborhood, an Irish family, of course, where do I run when I'm scared? The freaking bar. And my poor old man, my dad wasn't the kind of guy to go spend money to see a movie twice, you know? So he never got to see the end of that movie until it came on TV. But yeah, that was, he was right. He was right. And he taught me a lesson. Sometimes I got to listen to him. But Marianne got a lesson taught from my dad too. One year she was on vacation with us at the Jersey Shore, Seaside Heights. She wanted to go into the haunted house. So my dad bought 2 tickets because he wasn't bringing me in. And, this is the late 70s. So, of course, late 70s, you can let whatever it was, 8-year-old kid stand by himself around complete strangers on a boardwalk while you go traipsing through a haunted house with your goddaughter. It was the 70s. And that's what he did. But as they were going in, before they entered, as they were approaching the door to enter the haunted house, there was some teenage couple came running out. Now, I don't know if they were part of the setup, which in hindsight, I think they may have been, or if they were just generally scared pissless. But they came running out, and she's screaming, "They're trying to kill me! They're trying to kill me!" And Marianne heard that and said, "Nope, I'm not going in, Uncle John." And she started running the other way, and my dad grabbed her arm and said, "Oh, no, we paid for this. We're going in." Marianne loved it. Well, my dad was right. He was right. He taught me a lesson. He taught her a lesson. I agree with that. I agree with both those actions my father did. Okay. I'm on the fence. Still continuing with Shogun Stain on October comments. I'm on the fence with Horrified Ancient Greece. Is it actually worth the $25 for a third version of almost the same exact game? The addition of layers there seems to be the only difference. I may just have to play someone else's copy of this one first. Well, Shogunstein, this harkens back to much earlier in this video thread that we were doing. We were talking about this very thing, about how these companies are expecting people that love a particular IP or are completionists are going to want to eat this up. I agree with you. It seems like the layers is the only difference, the only new thing. But there really wasn't anything new at all between American monsters and Universal monsters. Other than the monsters, nothing. Even the characters were the same. They had the same abilities, just different names. The investigators that you could use. So this at least is the first real difference that we see in this series. I think this game is meant mainly for either individuals who are, as we've already said, completionists, right? Or an individual who has not gotten the game yet. Maybe has played it with a friend, maybe has enjoyed it, but has not owned a copy of Horrified yet. And that this game, like all of them being standalone games, will be the game to get someone that hasn't bought it previously to come and buy it. Okay, they didn't like Universal monsters. They didn't like cryptid monsters. Maybe they'll like mythological monsters. Which is why, a few months ago, I dropped the video about Horrified needing to do a new version combining with Ancient Aliens. Whether one believes in aliens and the ancient alien theory or not, I don't care for this part of the conversation. No, I'm talking about a game. And yes, they could take the concept of all these different aliens, whether they're real or not. Again, it's not the question here. But we all know the stories. We know the stories of the little grays. We know the stories of the reptilians. We've heard stories of the Nordics, right? The insectoids. And there's two kinds. There's ant insects. There's mantis insects. So we know from popular culture all these different alien groups. Now, how you're going to add on the new rules to make things different, I don't know. But aliens is a hot topic. Ancient Aliens, a television show, even if you don't team up with them to use their name, you're still using aliens. Okay? And that is a hot topic. Even hotter right now. Everything's been going on with the Congress, and I'm not getting into that conversation here. This isn't the show for it. But it doesn't change the fact that it is a hot topic. More people now are talking about UFOs and aliens than ever before. So I stand by that other video I made. It's time for Horrified to do a Horrified Ancient Aliens. And will that be worth it? No. Only for completionists or fans of Ancient Aliens. But just because it's not worth it for someone like you or me to get because we have these other games, Shogunstein, doesn't mean that the game itself isn't good. Again, like I said before, it's great for bringing in new people. And that's the other thing they really hope. Completionists and new people. And even you mentioned, I like the alien game idea. If I did not have Horrified, it would have been kept. Oh, you mean the alien. Okay, yeah, because there's also Alien. Okay, I didn't mean, I was talking Ancient Aliens, right? Alien, Fate of the Nostromo is very much Horrified. It is. It's Horrified Alien. But I really do like that artificer, tech savvy part of it, where you're collecting pieces to build things. Sure, it's not much different than in the regular Horrified games of getting your clues and stuff. But the fact that you're using this to see, this is like it's like a middle step, the way I see it. Because in Horrified, you get the clues, and those are what you use to stop the monster. In Alien, it's like you get the clues that you can then use to make a small sandbox of ideas that you can make out of them. So adding that extra step does take an extra step in gameplay, but I think it adds an extra bonus, an extra boost to it. And it has the lair for the alien in it, so it does touch on some of the lair aspects. I imagine that they're going. I don't have the game. I haven't seen it yet, so the rules on lairs, but still, I see that similarity there. I thought it was still there, so you can see I thought it was worth its keep. But yeah, it's personal. It's personal. Shogunstein, you were all over this place, man. Pixie playthrough, Halloween edition, Horrified, American Monsters, Dracula, and the Wolfman. Can't get much more Halloweeny than that, right? Any thoughts on Greek Monster version? It looks nice, but seems like all three games play exactly the same. Pretty close. Well, I just answered that. We just had that conversation. I didn't even know that was coming up. There you go. Big Giant G's How to Play Hero Quest 2021 edition. Now, this is the #1 viewed video on the entire channel. How to Play Hero Quest is almost at 9,000 views. I almost feel like giving it a party when it hits 10. I wouldn't know what to do, though. But yeah, so you can substitute miniatures? Never. Stop everything and buy and paint more miniatures like a real hero. I like your level of sarcasm. No, but I mentioned it because a lot of people don't think that way. It's not, maybe for individuals like you and me, and I'm assuming then that you play board games regularly. So we obviously think of this firsthand. You can use any miniature for any piece as long as it vaguely resembles what you need. You can use, and I've done it before, I've used the actual pre-painted Wizards of the Coast D&D miniatures when I've been playing the adventure system games, because I don't really paint miniatures, and I got sick and tired of seeing the unpainted ones when I played the board games. But not everyone thinks that way. Not everyone is going to automatically think, oh, well, I can swap things out between games because this version of the miniature, the terrain looks better. Not everyone thinks that way. So that's why I brought it up. But I do like your sarcasm. Shogun Steen talking about the slideshow gaming of survival. Zombie survival. And it looks like we're just about broke into last month here. So Shogun Steen, you say it looks, yeah, we are broken in because I've already responded to this, I see. Looks interesting, but just too many zombie games out there. Zombies, Vikings, too many games. I have never once heard you say too many fantasy games. See, and that's my point. That's my point. Whenever someone says something like that, like, oh, there's too many zombie games, there's too many Cthulhu games, it's like, well, what are you going to do? Those are free IPs. You don't have to pay someone. And there's tons of Marvel games out right now. Imagine if that IP was free, how many there would be? And what about things that don't use actual IPs, that just use concepts like sci-fi and fantasy? Tons of those. Tons of those. We could fill this entire game room with nothing but sci-fi board game boxes. I understand that maybe an individual such as yourself is just a little sick and tired of zombies. At least the board games of it. I mean, I get it. That's the way I feel with most zombie TV shows and movies nowadays. Because with zombies, it's really all the same. It's just an examination of humanity. It's just a test. It's just a test. How long will these characters in this story be able to hold on to their humanity and not become savage animals? And the zombies are really, and I've said this time and time again, like a broken record, the zombies are nothing more than the sea, right? In Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. You know, there's no group, there's no individual that the old man is the protagonist against. His only antagonist is nature. And in any good zombie film or movie or TV show, comic book, that's what they are. They're a force of nature that you have to survive, you have to deal with while continuing to survive. So maybe that's why you and others are so tired of zombie games, because it's just that one pure concept. But really, isn't every fantasy game and most sci-fis really just the hero's journey story being told again and again and again? It just comes down to preference. I think that's all. Do you watch Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch? Yes. Yes, I do. I'm highly anticipating the next season. I believe they started in like May, right? April and May. So we got about 6-7 months before that. And I'm especially looking forward to everything that's been coming forward since the series ended for last season. Everything that's come forward about UFO stuff. Keep your eye on. I think one of the best statements I heard concerning this is, get a hobby for the next 5 years. Get a hobby for the next 5 years. Thank God I got one. All right, I think that pretty much about covers it, and I think I got through all of the few comments. Trey, Techie, thank you so much for the comments, and anyone else watching or will comment later. Thank you very much. I'm going to close this out now. It has been, look at that, 59 minutes and just hitting 30 seconds. These things feel good. They feel good running for about an hour. So thank you very much for joining me, everyone. And don't forget, at 4 o'clock today, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Two Gun Pixies quote the Bard, Giacomo. So don't miss your bardic poems and inspiration. I'm your buddy Big Johnny G for Two Gun Picture presents Legendary Gaming, and I am